All right. Greetings to you, friends, brothers and sisters. I welcome you to lesson 2 of anatomy and physiology in our certificate course in gospel medical evangelism. Okay, so we have so far laid the foundation to our study and how we're going to proceed. So we saw that God created man, okay, by first making bones to join to their bones. Okay, so that is the framework. So now let us go and study how this framework really is and how we can dissect it to understand it better. Okay, so the skeleton. Okay, the skeleton is the bony framework of the body. Like we saw in Ezekiel 37, so that when the dry bones started coming together, they formed something. Okay, that which they formed is known as the skeletal system. Okay, it has cavities, it has fossils, okay, and some protective structures. Okay, the skeleton has many functions. Okay, it gives shape to the body. It protects the fragile parts of the body, the delicate parts, okay, or the flesh, okay, and so many other functions that it has. Okay, so when you're describing the skeleton, you can describe it into two main parts. Number one, the axial. Number two, the appendicular. So the axial is simply the central part, okay, the brain or the head, okay, the spine and the ribs. Okay, then the appendicular is the other parts that are remaining, the hands and the feet and the hips. Okay. Okay, so this is the axial. Okay, normally it has the skull, the vertebral column, which is the spine. It has the sternum, which is the chest, and the ribs. Okay. So you can describe the skull in two parts, which is the cranium. Okay, so the cranium is the one that contains the brain and the face. So when you hear about the cranium, just know that someone is talking about this part above the neck, okay, where the face is and the brain is, okay. Then it has a number of bones that are fused together after they mature. Okay, as you may be aware that babies have more bones than adults. Okay, but as they grow, those bones, they begin to fuse together. Okay, so the bones now get to the normal bones that the human body has. Okay, then we have the vertebral column, which is known as the spine, which it has a total of 24 movable bones divided into 5 major parts. Okay, we've got the cervical bones, we've got the thoracic bones, the lumbar bones, number 3, we've got the sacrum, then we've got the coccyx. Okay, so the cervical bones are the ones that you feel behind your neck. Okay, there are 7 of them, you can name them. So for short, if you want to locate the map of the cervical bones, you use C, the letter C, capital C. So C1 would mean cervical bone 1. So they move from top to bottom. So the first one that you feel in your neck, you start coming down. Okay, so there's C1, C2 up to C7. Okay, and then you from there, when you begin the chest, the thoracic cavity, that's where now you begin to have the 12 thoracic bones. So they go T1, T2, T3, and T12. After that, after the ribs end, you have got what is known as the lumbar. Okay, so for the lumbar, you have 5 bones, which you can count 1, 2, L1, L2, L3, up to 5. Okay, that's where even lumbar puncture comes from. So between these bones, they are what are known as intervertebral discs that consist of cartilages. Okay, so when they inject that needle in between the discs, okay, into the fluid that is found inside, okay, which is known as the cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, they get that fluid to check if there could be any infections and so on. So by puncturing that in the lumbar vertebrae, that is what is known as the lumbar puncture. Okay, and then we've got the sacrum, which has 5 fused bones. When you just touch just down here after the lumbar, the 5 lumbar. So you find the sacrum. Then you've got 1 coccyx, which has 4 fused bones. These are very delicate down there, like at the tail of the spine. Okay, then the appendicular. This is the one that has the upper limbs and the lower limbs. Okay, which has also the bones of the pelvis. Okay, so there are different types of bones. There are those that are not movable at all. They are fixed. Okay, they are fibrous tissues. Okay, these joints, like the ones between teeth. Okay, these joints do not move, or the mandible, they don't move. Okay, and then you've got those that are slightly movable. Okay, like in the vertebral bodies themselves, okay, in the spine, there are some slight movements, those are slightly movable. Then you've got the synovial, or these that freely move, okay, these they have the potential to bend and so on, like the shoulders, the hips. Okay, so you've got different types. You've got the hinge joints, which allow movements of flexion and extension, okay, like the elbow and the knee. Okay, like you can bring it back and fold it and stretch it. Okay, the knee and the ankle. Okay, so these are hinge joints. Then you've got the gliding joints. Okay, these they glide over the other. Okay, like the couples in the fingers. Okay, the couples, the tarsals. Okay, in the feet. Okay, in the toes and the fingers. Okay, these are gliding, you can make those movements. Then you've got these that are pivot. Okay, these are proximal and distal. Okay, these are the ones that can rotate, like where they are found, where they, how do you call? Okay, where they are stationed, then they can move from there. Okay, those are pivot joints. Okay, and then you've got the saddle joints, which can just make some flexion and extension as well, abduction as well. Okay, and circumduction, meaning they can move around. Okay, these are the metacarpophalangeal. Okay, the wrist. Okay, these where you wear your watch, the wrist bones. These are the type. Okay, so apart from these joints that enable us to make movements and so on, we have also what is known as the muscular system. Okay, where you've got the muscles. So you've got skeletal muscles, you've got smooth muscles, you've got cardiac muscles as well. Okay, so the skeletal muscles normally are voluntary, okay, because these you're able to control willingly. You can say, okay, let me show you how much muscle I have, okay, by doing, some abduction, okay, of the hand. Okay, then we also have the smooth muscles. Okay, these are non-striated, okay, or they're involuntary. Okay, you don't have to think about it. Okay, so these smooth muscles, you can find them on hollow organs. You can find them on the maybe in the stomach, in the intestines, and so on. Okay, and then you also have cardiac muscle tissue. Okay, so these are exclusively found on the walls of the heart. Okay, and it is also not under conscious control, but when viewed under microscope, okay, some voluntary muscles can be seen, okay, but we do not really have control over them. So these are the 3 major types of muscles that we have, namely the skeletal, the smooth muscles, and the cardiac muscle. Okay, so the skeletal muscles are not involved in the movements of the joints, the limbs. Okay, that is muscles of the face and the neck, muscles of the back, and so on. Okay, so the skeleton is the support structure of the body. Okay, so the muscles and the ligaments, they interconnect and work together to facilitate the movements of the bones. So as we become older and people, especially in the Western society, live to a greater age, okay, brittle bones will become increasing a problem. Okay, so everybody should find ways on how to support or to maintain good health, even in old age. So simply put, it is very important to have good nutrition. Okay, so bones, they don't just depend on the wear and tear or stagnation they receive. Okay, or maybe because you sit a lot, you exercise a lot. Okay, there's also good nutrition. All right, good nutrition that is very relevant. Okay, so you need to eliminate sugar, sweet drinks, processed foods, tea, coffee. Okay, because these particular foods, they strip magnesium, calcium, and vitamin C from the body. And these three are very important for the formation and repair of the bone, the muscles, the cartilage, and the synovial fluid. All right. So we must make sure that we find replacements or sources of magnesium, calcium, and vitamin C. Okay, and we know that dark green vegetables, they consist of those whole grains, have to be eaten daily, raspberry leaves. Okay, if you need calcium requirements, okay, and also good amounts of iron, you'll be given by using raspberry. Vitamin A, vitamin E, B, and B complex, also zinc, are important in the synthesis, okay, that is to make, okay, and maintain good structure. So for the structures to be made and also to be maintained, you basically need a good structure. I mean, enough of these vitamins. So you must ensure that you eat foods that are rich in these things. Okay. So, like for postmenopausal women, okay. All right. So for postmenopausal women, kidney health and estrogen and progesterone levels should be maintained in order to guard against osteoporosis and brittle bone diseases. Okay, so it is very common, okay, for women to have problems in their skeletal system, be it postmenopausal or postpartum after giving birth, okay, because there are a lot of hormonal changes and losses of these useful resources. Okay. There are also herbs that are very helpful in skeletal conditions. Okay, you can make a poultice from turmeric. Okay, these work very well. Okay, you can also use comfrey in case of bruises, fractures, and swellings. Okay, and then cold temperatures also, like for those students that have gone up to the diploma and are concluding, they understand exactly that cold temperatures are very good, especially for swellings and also acute pain. Okay, for muscular and skeletal damage, such as broken bones, torn ligaments, damaged muscles, and weakly structured joints, we must use available formulas in consultation with your team. You can consult those that have good experience in this. Okay, you can also use some Epsom salt in your various baths, Himalayan salt daily use in food and also baths. Also alfalfa. Alfalfa is very good for the muscular system. Okay, so this is where our second lesson ends, where we're looking at the muscular system or musculoskeletal system. So far we've done lesson 1, which is anatomy and physiology, as well as lesson 2, where we're looking at the framework. And now quickly we'll look at lesson 3, okay, and see what we'll be able to learn. I've seen a number of brothers and sisters come on board. I wish to welcome you. We're just doing the formal recordings of the certificate courses, and we've started with anatomy and physiology. So you're welcome, and feel free to participate.